Hey everybody, this is the Recklessly Skeptical Podcast. My name is Matt.
My name is Josh.
I'm Joe.
And we have a special guest here.
Hello, my name is Jace. I am...
Get closer to that mic, bitch.
Whoa. That was like dirty.
Is that better?
That's much better.
Does that satisfy? Okay. I am Joe and Matt's nephew, so that's pretty snazzy.
Yep, we're going to talk about some things later on in the podcast. We're going to talk about being an atheist at a young age and possibly...
Yeah, how old are you, Jace?
I am 75 years old. 16. I'm 16.
Are you
16.
mom's or dad's side related?
Mom's.
Sorry, your guys' mom's?
It's our sister.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
Yep. And so we're going to talk about being atheists at a young age and possibly delve into some darker death stuff.
Oh, wow.
So that will be later on in the podcast. Today is Sunday, December 4th, 2016. So we're glad you guys are here. Remember to check out our other channels on YouTube, ZZZ Giant Awake and The Evil Atheist. You can find this podcast on YouTube as well. As well on Spreaker.
Yes.
So do that. Like it, share it, subscribe, do all that crap.
Should we quickly explain why we didn't have a podcast last week,
Yeah,
Matt?
that's what I was going to say, too.
Yeah, we can do that. So, and we're going to upload last week's podcast. The audio is just really bad.
It's shit.
It's shit. You can listen to it, though. It was a good discussion.
It was a good
podcast. So listen to it. There was good talks.
Yep.
Alrighty, so let's have our stolen thought, shall we? I think last week it was Ion Hercioli as well.
Okay.
So we're doing her twice in a row.
That sounds wrong.
That sounds really wrong.
Phrasing.
So this, I wanted to read this one because there's a lot of discussion around Islam and how it's a threat to the world, and what needs to be done to eliminate that threat. So, yeah, let's read this. Quote, "Not everyone will accept this argument, I know. All I ask of those who do not is that they defend my right to make it. But for those who do accept the proposition that Islamic extremism is rooted in Islam, the central question is, what needs to happen for us to defeat the extremists for good? Economic, political, judicial, and military tools have been proposed, and some of them deployed. But I believe these will have little effect unless Islam itself is reformed." So it's not that we necessarily need people to stop taking Islam literal. People can still believe it literally like they do with the Bible. But it just needs to be changed. Like, they need to cherry pick, honestly, or they need to take some of it literal and some of it not literal and some of it is metaphor and all that.
Yeah, and see, for me, I think that Reformation in the 21st century is becoming aware that religion is bullshit and becoming an atheist. I don't know how you reform when there's so much fucking fact proving all of the religions wrong at this point.
No, yeah, I think that's great. If we could just have everybody stop believing it, yeah, that's the way I want to go. I just don't know if that's possible, at least in our lifetime.
Yeah, that's the question, right? Like, if we're in agreement, and if our side is right, if the people like Matt, Joe, me, and people who are atheists are correct, there is no God. That means religion's based on fallacious reasoning and bullshit. Then, like, the question is, how do we get rid of religion? But in the meantime, how do we stop people from killing other fucking people would be a good place to start. And, like, the question is are we going to do anything in the Middle East that's going to be productive? The answer is probably not as a country, not as America.
Yeah.
Can't really do good over there when we are the great Satan.
Should we send atheist missionaries? And
You're just as bad as those religious people.
Yeah, I mean...
No, we're not.
We need to integrate the people who are coming over. Like, fuck trying to do anything on a grand scale, honestly. Like, get to know the Muslims in your neighborhood. Talk to them. Ask them questions. Like, that's what you do. I read somewhere that in Utah there's going to be, like, a Mormon open house for the whatever. What's their church is called? It's called the mosque. Yeah, the
Yeah,
mosque.
oh, a
They're gonna
mosque.
have a mosque that's open to the public, and you can go and talk to them. Like that would be a great thing to do if you have time. And maybe I'll look into that after my fucking finals are done. Fuck school. God damn it.
No, don't fuck school. Get your law degree and then be my lawyer.
That's so far down the road. Like I'm gonna just get my paralegal degree for now and sit on that for a second.
Cool. Alrighty, so shall we move on, gentlemen?
Sure.
I have this awesome video, okay?
Okay.
It's an awesome Christian metal band, okay?
Praise Jeebus.
So we're going to listen to it.
Okay.
I used to be in a metal band.
Were you a Christian metal band?
No, it was,
Yes,
you know.
very hardcore.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. Yeah, I was Jesus on the cross.
All right, here we go.
Oh, the audio's not there.
Whoa,
Oh, you
hold
muted
on.
it. That's why.
Unmute
you
it.
muted it.
Now you need to unmute it.
Is it going to be super loud when you unmute it?
No. Go to the top of the page. Right
Oh,
click.
There you go.
that whole thing
Yep.
again.
There
Yeah,
you
top thing. You gotta
Super
focus on that.
simple. Super simple.
All right.
So, Christian Music Festival.
This is Christian heavy metal, just so you guys know. It's the
Moshing is a form of worship. What?
Everybody pray out loud with me because people are going to be saved and healed and set free tonight. Lord Jesus.
Lord Jesus.
Thank you for dying for me. Lord Jesus. You can have my life. Lord Jesus. King Jesus. You reign. You reign. You are my God. Fuck this man. Fuck bringing it. Fuck this man. Fuck this shit.
And if you didn't catch that right there, after that whole spiel on Jeebus, God, King, whatever, he started going off on a tangent there. I made my mama cry. Help me, Jesus.
And forgive me for making mama cry.
God forgive me.
So that's pretty funny.
I should go see a therapist, but no thanks.
So I just wanted to show that, listen to it because it was pretty damn funny.
Yes.
They were getting into it, like that one guy that was in the audience.
Yeah, he was crying. He was
into that.
You
shit,
know what,
man.
though? Like,
He was feeling the spirit.
I have felt that at metal shows. You know what I mean? And it has nothing to do with the spirit of Jesus Christ.
You have a boner
Wait,
for Jesus.
Wait,
Yeah.
aren't we going to talk about the Mormon thing?
Oh, and that goes along right with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could talk about that next, I guess.
Sure, because I think that fits in perfectly. Like the
Yeah.
idea of a spiritual experience. Like the spiritual experiences in a psychological level kind of do happen, but they're not correlated with anything
Yeah.
religious.
Yeah.
So who's
There's
got
not. I have it.
that? Go okay.
All right, so let's talk about it. So this is coming from Utah, a U of U study. Religious thoughts trigger same reward systems as love, drugs, music, and sex.
Who'da thunk it?
Who'da thunk it?
Whoa.
Well, my computer's being a little weird.
Because
So.
he doesn't get a fucking normal. He's got the world's smallest
it's like-
mouse.
Yeah, what is that
And he's
thing?
using it on his laptop, too.
It's like-
Just use the trackpad, Matt.
Yeah.
We need to get him like we need to post a picture of it on this video so you guys can see what the fuck we're laughing at.
Use it as the thumbnail.
Yeah. It would fit. Like he wouldn't have to crop the picture at all. It would just be the fucking thumbnail. It's a picture of it, just as it is.
All right, so a new study at the University of Utah shows that Mormon religious experiences and sex both stimulate the same parts of the brain. These types of regions in the brain activate during sex, romantic and parental love, winning at gambling, drugs like cocaine and meth. Really, their core pleasure-enduring circuits in the brain, explains the study's lead author, Jeffrey Anderson. So they took 19 devout Mormons, put them into MRI machines, and had them focus on Mormon religious quotes, videos, and asked them to pray. And the study lasted an hour. And they took pictures of the brain.
Yeah.
The brain actually lit up in the same places, like it said, if you're doing cocaine or if you're having sex or whatever.
How about you mix the two?
Ooh.
And so that
I
goes
plead
back
the
to the
fifth.
that goes back to the metal show, especially like for me.
Yeah, music and
Music, at the show. There's hundreds of people around, and I'm feeling the spirit of metal,
You see, I felt
and
the
it's
same
being
thing.
rammed up my butt.
Whoa, that got kinky.
Yeah,
At a
but
high-
yeah, I don't know. But I imagine the exact same parts of the brain, and I can see why these people, especially being at a concert, feeling the music, all that stuff, and then worshiping their God and praying all that. Like, I imagine it would.
It would just feel great.
It would feel
just-
great, especially if you
someone would say
believed it.
spiritual. Whoa.
So one of the participants in the study said this, quote, "When I said, 'Oh my goodness, I'm feeling it so strong. Something is happening.'"
That's called schizophrenia.
See, what's funny is I can imagine somebody in like one of the church like retreats, because I was involved in all the Mormon shit up until I was 18, and like we'd go on these retreats and have testimony meetings, and they would talk about filling the Spirit, and girls like it never fails that there'd be some like fucking 15, 16, 17-year-old girl who would go to the front and be like, "Oh my God, thank you guys so much. I'm feeling the Spirit so strongly. I'm just so moved." And like, no, and if you don't believe me, just fucking go on one of these things.
No,
Like,
my buddy Corey used to tell me about how, because he was forced to go to church, 15, 16, and he was an atheist by then, and he'd have to go to Mormon church, and he said people would get up bearing their testimony, and they'd be crying about how God helped them find their shoes.
yes.
And like,
Really?
yeah, oh yeah.
I was locked out of my mom. God, I love her to death. My mom was like, one time, like I'm asking her what her spiritual experiences are that caused her to believe, and she's like, one time I was locked out of my car and I tried my keys so many times, and like the fifth or sixth time it wouldn't work, and so I prayed and then like it worked. Like,
That's it. That's all the proof you need.
Yep.
That's it.
That's proof.
yeah, that's the standard of evidence that the religious can come up with.
So that same lady continued on and said that she did not need a confirmation her spiritual moments were real, but she was satisfied with the picture of her brain showing the internal excitement. So she doesn't need confirmation. Her shit is real.
I just know, baby.
She knew probably because of faith.
Yeah.
And this goes to the strong idea that there's a psychological aspect to like these religious experiences, in that it's somewhat like why so many people believe it is because guess what, our fucking brains are meant to have these things triggered, and like we do
Yeah.
drugs to try and experience them.
In high school, I read a book called The God Part of the Brain.
Yeah.
And it just basically explains, okay, well, as man started, the difference between man and, animals and all that stuff is we walked to a pool of water and saw our reflection and realized that we were a being. And then we looked around and saw death and realized... So you look at an animal and they have self-defense mechanisms, claws, whiskers, teeth, sharp teeth, or whatever spines, whatever they have for self-defense. We don't have stuff like that. We have our brain. And then our brain saw death, and then a self-defense mechanism kicked in and was like, oh, well, there must be life after death. And it's almost like, yeah, it's just like a self-defense mechanism that the brain created to keep you from just going, oh well, everything dies.
Well-
Might as well just sit here and die.
And we'll have to actually get into this in depth towards the end, because I think that's part of the reason Jace is here, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So Anderson said his
Get in
goal.
close, man.
Hello.
That was a little too
I'm
close.
here now.
So Anderson said his goal is to understand how the brain reacts in all different types of religious experiences, not just Mormons. Quote, is it possible that a Lutheran woman in Minnesota reading the Bible and an ISIS fighter in Syria contemplating religious violence may activate the same brain regions?
Let's hope not.
That it might feel the same way for vastly different religious ideologies.
Oh, I imagine
And I
so.
guarantee it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So next up is Josh's poop.
Okay, I guess we'll get right into that.
Into your poop?
Into my poop. So this is sad. I'm actually going to Donald Trump's Twitter feed for the fucking news, because that is now, I guess, what's relevant.
I've been there quite a few times in the last week.
But there have been 2 stories that have spun out of one fucking Donald Trump tweet that have made news. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
It's not anything new though. Like,
That Donald Trump says stuff that he shouldn't.
yeah, 3 a.m. Go watch this sex tape. Have you seen that? That's
I haven't.
yeah. Have you not seen that?
Mm-mm.
Like at 3, he was going like on a tangent, right? Like about this one woman or whatever.
Oh,
A tangent, yeah.
the
And then he's
Go
like,
ahead.
yeah, go watch. You can see for yourself. Go watch the sex tape. He literally said something along the lines of that.
Oh my
Like
god.
he wasn't like clever about it. He wasn't like Bill Clinton. Nothing like.
Yeah.
He was just like, go watch it now, please.
Yeah, and so getting back to what we're talking about, story at hand. In addition, this is a tweet from Donald Trump. In addition to winning the Electoral College in a landslide, I won the popular vote if you deducted the millions of people who voted illegally. So it's Donald Trump's opinion that the election is fraudulent, and therefore he should be like the number one person pushing to have the recounts done. But apparently he doesn't care about it.
I won, but there's still fraud.
Yep.
Yeah.
But out of that came a couple of stories. So the first one we're going to talk about is the one where not that one, but the one where she's talking about that truth is subjective in a sense. And just to kind of prep it, because she kind of mumbles along, listen for what she talks about when she's talking about facts. She's saying that facts are open to interpretation, like really open to interpretation. So here we go.
I'm sure you've heard James Fallows talk about lies that Donald Trump has put out there in tweets, in things he said. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's also an idea of an opinion. And that's, on one hand, I hear half the media saying that these are lies. But on the other half, there are many people that go, no, it's true. And so one thing that has been interesting this entire campaign season to watch is that people that say facts are facts, they're not really facts. Everybody has a way. It's kind of like looking at ratings or looking at a glass of half full water. Everybody has a way of interpreting them to be the truth or not truth. There's no such thing, unfortunately, more of facts. And so Mr. Trump's tweet amongst a certain crowd, a large part of the population, are truth. When he says that millions of people illegally voted, he has some facts amongst him and his supporters. And people believe they have facts to back that up. Those that do not like Mr. Trump, they say that those are lies.
So
That's just ridiculous, man.
They're both right. Wahoo!
Just, and I could almost be with her. Now, hear me out. If she was just saying that's how people argue in this world, is that it doesn't matter what the facts are. If she was saying that, it doesn't matter what the facts are. You're going to get your own opinion one way or the other. Yeah. Sure. But she was actually saying when Trump says millions of people voted illegally, he has facts for that. And the people who deny it, they have their argument. She was actually saying that it doesn't matter what the facts are.
Yeah, well, the facts are not facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just because Donald Trump won, that voids out all of the things that people were saying that he was saying was false. So apparently millions of Muslims did celebrate the Twin Towers coming down in New Jersey or some shit. Apparently global warming can be a Chinese hoax. Apparently all of those things are also true in her mind.
Yeah.
But they're demonstrably not true. So, like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah. Where do you, Josh?
Well, hopefully you draw the line in fact. Like, you have that's the thing. So there are things that we observe or think we observe or derive from what we experience in reality. Like, we watch a news show, we derive whether it's true or not based on whether it jives with the rest of the story that's going on in our heads. And so what that does is it causes us to look for biased news that fits our narratives, ones that we're comfortable with, and we either ignore or deny the ones that we're not comfortable with, as opposed to like having an internal change, because internal changes are hard. Like, to admit that you're wrong and admit that some basis of what you believe is just factually not true. That's not the easiest thing to do, but it's insane that she's like I mean, like, is electromagnetism, like everything that we're experiencing there, magic? Because she could make that argument if she believes that. And these people have influence on policy. Like, our fucking climate change denying government now is going to wind back the clock on this, and who knows if we have that long to go.
Yeah, well, journalism isn't journalism anymore. It's not. It's, I don't know. I honestly think if you're a journalist, you need to speak the truth and only spit out facts. And if you don't, you should
I disagree.
Go to jail or something.
I disagree in a sense. Like, there has to be some interpretation of the facts. Like, to have a journalist get up on stage and say, this is what scientists believe and this is what other people believe. These are facts that these group of people believe one thing and these group of people believe another. Then they remove themselves from, like, accountability. But they should be saying, these people are wrong.
Yeah.
And these people are right. So it should be, like, objective but not neutral.
Yeah.
The question or the thing is that we need to be intellectually honest. And like you were saying a second ago, Josh, is when people are shown that they're wrong, they won't admit it and they'll deny it. And a lot of people, they'll actually double down on their position. If you are shown to be wrong and you're not intellectually honest, you will double down on your position and make the discussion even harder.
Yeah, and a Facebook argument that I got into reminds me of this. Like, I asked this guy over and over again because he's saying, well, Muslims want to bring Sharia to the United States. Over 50% of people believe that Sharia, or Muslims believe Sharia should be the truth. And it's like, well, if you think about it, like Mormons, when you ask them what Joseph Smith said was true, they think about, like, that they're going to live with their family forever, that they're going to have, that if they follow the commandments of the living prophet, they'll have a good life and have something to look forward to. That's what they think of when they think about Joseph Smith's. Like, if you were to ask them, do you believe what Joseph Smith said was true? They wouldn't think about the child brides. They wouldn't think about the polygamy. They wouldn't think about the extortion or the fraud. I mean, that's just not what they would think about, even though all those things are demonstrably true. So when you ask a Muslim what they think about Sharia law, they think about the 5 pillars and the
good stuff.
So, like,
because Sharia law isn't just
kill the infidels.
That's not all it is. Yeah,
and that's what the person who I was talking with on Facebook told me what Sharia law is.
Yeah.
He said, kill the infidels. And I'm like, no, that's not what a majority of Muslims think when they think about Sharia law.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, unfortunately, do believe that, yes, you should kill the infidels because Muhammad said so.
And the problem with that discussion, it sucks because I think Islam definitely is a problem in the world.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there.
Yes. But people want to take it so far to, like that, say that
Muslims are
most of
brainwashed
them,
to kill infidels. Like,
yes,
that's what he. That's
and
what
we
I
should
think he
ban
believes.
Muslims from coming to the U.S. You can't do that.
Yeah.
That's just going to make the problem worse.
Yeah, and besides, if you're for the Constitution, you guns and flag and country and shit, you also have to recognize that the 14th Amendment, the most important amendment to the Constitution, even more important than the First and Second Amendment, guarantees that we can't do that type of shit. You have to have strict scrutiny to ban a religion, which he doesn't have. It has to be necessary for the functioning of the government in order to pass a religious law.
See, and I don't think a lot of these people understand that these Muslims that do kill people and do all that stuff, they're extremists, just like you have Christian extremists who go and shoot up Planned Parenthoods. Not all Muslims believe the way these Muslim extremists believe. I'm working with a Muslim, and me and a buddy are talking about hunting ducks, and the Muslim, guy he said something. He was kind of joking around. We joke around a lot. And I was like, have you ever gone and hunted? And he's all, no, it's a sin. I can't kill anything and stuff. And he's Muslim.
Yeah.
And he sees killing anything as a sin. And he won't even kill a duck.
Right.
And so, that sounded like a very Christian thing to say. You know what I mean? But then you get Christians and Muslims that go out and kill people. And and that's the thing. The reason why there's more Muslims out there killing people is because there's more Muslims.
Well,
and so you're going to have a higher amount of extremists.
Well,
the same way if it was Christians. If there was more Christians in the world, there'd be a higher amount of Christian extremists.
That's not true. That's so there are. If
are you sure?
Counting Catholicism, yes, there's more Catholicism and Protestants. There are more Christians than Muslims still in the world. But the other thing, though, is you have to look at the distribution on economic status. Like most Muslim countries happen to be in the third world or the Middle East.
They're very, very focused in certain places.
Yeah, and so like if we had Christians, like the Christians in North Africa murder just as much as the Muslims in North Africa do too.
Yeah.
Like they're both murdering people, and they both feel justified through their religion, and they feel and they kill each other quite frequently. They've built these tribes that murder is okay, and their culture murder is okay. Like it's a thing that they do for power, so they can have their cliques, so forth and so on. But the point is that, and going back to the point that Matt made earlier in the day, is that Islam needs to have a reform because it's not in the Western world very much.
Yeah.
They haven't reformed. And we also have done a terrible job integrating Muslim communities into Western communities because we tend to, from what I read about distribution of Muslims, when they come into Europe and into the UK, they get put in Muslim majority neighborhoods so they keep their radical beliefs alive.
Yeah.
Because they're not integrated into our system, and we don't listen to them enough. We don't interact with them enough. We see them as Muslim, like they're not like me. I'm going to hang out with my friends who I know.
Yeah.
Or Christians and atheists for us, because we hang out with a lot of atheists, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so here's more, and also he doesn't care about the Constitution. Here's another thing to realize. Donald Trump has said things. So there was another thing that came up that I'm going to make a movie about on my channel at some point, and it's nobody should be allowed to burn the American flag. If they do, there must be consequences, perhaps loss of citizenship or a year in jail. Now, the First Amendment has been clearly defined as flag burning is a right. Like
It is.
It is
the
a form
Supreme
of,
Court ruled on it.
Yes, it is a form of speech. The only way that he could make the flag a jail is to add an amendment to the Constitution that says flag burning is not protected speech. Like that's it. That's the only way he can go about it. But like
Then I'd have to burn a lot more flags
Yeah.
because I have a video up where I burn a flag.
But the point is that he doesn't understand the First Amendment there, and then also the 14th Amendment guarantees birthright citizenship to anybody who's born in America. So he doesn't understand that either, and he's demonstrated that with his talk about how we should deport anchor babies. Which anchor babies, guess what? They're fucking American citizens.
Yeah, you can't deport them. They're born here. They're an American citizen.
Exactly.
That's the thing. I don't understand how someone who doesn't understand the basics of the Constitution is the elected president. And well, I do understand how, because the majority of people who voted for him don't understand the Constitution themselves.
Yep.
They're just like protect our rights, freedom of speech. We can offend anybody.
Obama
Violate
wants my
others.
guns.
He's a lizard person. Did you see his third eyelid?
Yeah.
There's flies around him all the time.
Based on their religion.
But now
How do you feel about
let's pause and introduce the tape. Jeez, Matt, getting a little
He's
overexcited.
just like I'm gonna hit play.
Going in dry.
I'm trying to keep you guys on your toes.
Yeah, this is the CNN anchor hosted a focus group of Donald Trump supporters to ask them about.
She looks like a Donald Trump supporter.
Yeah,
She looks
look
like-
at that big '80s hair.
She looks like the singer of Twisted Sister.
So these are Donald Trump supporters being interviewed by a CNN anchor who is just blown away that this is a continuation of the last clip. Not that it's the same place, same time. It's not. But the idea behind it is that it's subjective. Like the truth is subjective, apparently, to Donald Trump supporters. Here we go.
based on their religion.
How do you feel about the white nationalist movement, the alt-right, some neo-Nazi salutes that we've seen? What are we to make of the what feels like a groundswell of that with the Steve Bannon Breitbart connection?
You know what? I'll tell you something. That's been around forever. You know, if you keep reporting on it, it's going to grow like a cancer. If you forget about it, then it's probably going to go away. But the media has to hop on everything, and it's wrong.
There have been protests.
They've been tipping
cars over and
I don't even know if they know what they're protesting.
And some of them didn't even vote.
Hang on. Stop right there. So, first off, this is almost all from, like, Tommy, whatever her name is.
Oh, the blonde chick.
Yeah, the blonde chick.
Lauren?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she keeps on getting on her show and saying, "Oh, these guys don't even know what they're protesting, blah 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 blah," and so forth and so on. But it's like, yeah, they do, and I think that they shouldn't be protesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think they should protest,
Not in the way that they are.
but
That's
even the way that they are, like they haven't done anything super bad, and it's been blown out of proportion. Like if they want to protest that against Donald Trump, that's fine. That's their right. And Donald Trump first came out and said that they should, or that it's not fair that they're protesting, and then he later corrected himself, saying that, yeah, you know what, I like that these people are so enthusiastic about their government. which is a good thing.
And I think Jace means like the burning shit and the violence.
Yeah.
But
like,
what's
they
funny
shouldn't
is
be doing
I've
that.
never seen any video of burning shit or violence, but I hear people
have-
talk about it, but I haven't seen any video.
I have seen videos.
I've seen video of them burning the flag, which is well within their rights when
Yeah.
they're protesting.
That's definitely.
I saw a video of a couple African Americans pulling a white guy out of a car and beating him.
Yeah,
but
that
you know
one.
what's crazy? I saw that video last year. It had nothing, and they're just regurgitating videos and saying, protesters, look at what they're doing. It's like, no, that's an old video from
Yeah.
last year, and the white guy cut off the other two people while they were driving. That's
I
what
did
the
not know
original
that.
video was.
Yeah, so
They're-
all of this shit is being spun. So be aware that this is being blown out of proportion. 99% of the protests are peaceful protests done in a way that they should
Yes.
be. Like you can stand outside of a business in New York City on the sidewalk and protest Donald Trump Tower if you want to.
Yeah.
Like there's a time and place that the cops can shut you down, but you have to be aware of that, and you also have to be aware of how permitting allows you to protest. But outside of that, and that's fine. Like if you want to protest outside of the permits, you're welcome to.
Yeah.
You will get arrested, but that's the point. Like sometimes you do protest to get arrested, and
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that, like morally at all.
But let's talk about violence. Let's talk about the North Dakota Access Pipeline. You can watch so many videos of people just standing there talking. This one lady sitting there interviewing someone else, another protester, and all of a sudden the cops just start shooting rubber bullets out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Or it's 20 below and they're spraying ice cold water on people in the middle of the night.
Aren't they like?
Or and then also you can see cops going around. There's also nonviolent nonprofit groups going there and helping the protesters. And the cops, you see videos, the cops are going around breaking their car windows and shit.
Yeah.
Oh no, but it's protest. It's not okay when protesters do it, but there's no video of protesters doing shit like that.
Yeah, the North Dakota Access Pipeline is the perfect example of a protest where the police are absolutely in the wrong. Like,
Yeah.
if you watch the video from it, it's very clear that the protesters, outside of one guy who was a plant, so that the news could then twist it and say,
Yeah.
these guys are violent because this dude brought a gun and the protesters surrounded the guy and got the guy to disarm himself. And he
Yeah.
was an employee of the North Dakota Access Pipeline.
And the police, there's video of him lying. One of the police officers, like the chief, was being interviewed, and he was questioned about spraying them with the water in the middle of the night on the bridge.
Yeah.
And he said, well, we only started doing that once they started fires. You go watch the video. There's no fucking fires. They're just spraying them.
Yeah. And then also CNN was talking about a lot of these protesters and that were burning stuff. Well, they interviewed one of the protesters and he was like, "Yeah, we're lighting cars on fires and we're breaking windows and all this stuff." Well, it later turns out that was the news people's camera guy who was saying that shit.
Yeah, and so like it's hard to discern what is true and what is not true. And what we're saying in general is be skeptical of any story from any side. So that doesn't mean that you always take the protesters' word for it. Sometimes protests do get out of hand, and people do fuck those things up, and it sucks when that happens. But you don't regurgitate or don't take regurgitated news that is saying that the protesters are always wrong.
Yeah, go in and research it for yourself. Find the facts. Find real facts. And be skeptical of what you see. Like that video I saw online about those guys pulling that other guy out of the car and beating him up. And they're like, because they thought he protested for Trump. I knew I saw that video like a year ago.
But people who
so I researched it. And I looked into it. And sure enough, I found the original video.
We'll have to actually break that down sometime. You should make a video on that on your channel, Joe.
Okay, yeah.
But one last thing, though, is most people who are protesting know what they're protesting. They're protesting that Donald Trump doesn't stand for them. Black Lives Matter is protesting police reform because they want cameras on police. They want accountability for police who shoot people who are unarmed. These things are very clear. Like, they want a very specific thing. So when people say that they don't know what they're protesting for, they're full of shit.
Yeah. And then also, I want to bring something up. This whole Black Lives Matter things. I don't know if I think I brought it up last time. Sorry. Okay. I see all these articles. Black Lives Matters member does this. Black Lives Matter members does that. Whenever you go into that article and read it, I have so many friends who post it. it has nothing to do with a Black Lives Matter. It's always just like an African American who did something, and then they just label him a Black Lives Matter member.
Yep.
And then you go into the original, and it's usually some off-the-wall right-wing little blogger who's writing that shit. And then you go into the original news story from wherever state or city it came from, and they don't even mention Black Lives Matter.
You know what? Let's add a section to this, even though we didn't write it on the board. We should play some of Trevor Noah's video with Tommy on it, and because I think he does a fair job breaking it down and showing where she was wrong. But let's go ahead and watch the rest of this.
They didn't even vote. Voting is a privilege in this country, and you need to be legal, not like California where 3
It's not a privilege, it's a right.
million illegals voted.
Let's talk about that.
I'm glad I brought that up, Allison.
too, Paula. So where are you getting your information?
From the media. Where else
Which
would we
media?
get? Some of it was CNN, I believe. and
CNN said that 3 million people voted
Well,
in
it was coming
California?
all across the media. All across. Well, CNN didn't do it, then they were being smart this time.
Do you think that 3 million illegal people
I
voted?
believe in California that there were illegals that voted.
How many?
I don't. To tell you the truth, nobody really knows that number.
But do you think 3 dozen or do you think 3 million?
I think there was a good amount because the president told people that they could vote, and it happened in Nashua. We caught some people that they went into Nashua and they said, the president said I can vote. I'm here illegally.
Did you hear President?
So
the president said I can vote. I'm here to vote. I'm
here illegally.
Okay, and there's another news story that we'll get to. Let's just play until I tell you to stop, and then we'll break into the
Did
other.
Obama say that illegal people could vote?
Yes,
Yes,
I did.
On
I
what?
heard it
this morning, I actually.
Yes, I did hear it.
Tell me, where?
You can find it, Google it. You can find it on Facebook.
All right, hold on.
Now,
You
pause
can
it.
find it on Facebook.
From some right-wing fanaticism.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, so here's the story. If Matt, if you'll pull that story up, there should be another story from Snopes. This one right here. Yep. So now the question that Snopes asked was, if you'll scroll up to the top, it'll say, in an interview aimed at millennial audience, President Obama encouraged Latino citizens to vote. He did not urge undocumented immigrants to vote. So what the story was is that the claim is President Obama encouraged illegal aliens to vote, and there would be no consequences if they do. And this was a story that was broke by Fox News Business. Like, they were treating it as if it was a news story, and it was doctored. It was very much doctored, and they'll talk about that in the story. But the truth of it is that here's Neil Cavuto. Barack Obama openly called on illegal immigrants to vote in Tuesday's elections. Whole administration is lawless. They lie at every turn. They lied to get Obamacare passed. They lied about Benghazi. They are now calling on illegal aliens to vote. And let's actually see if we have that clip.
This?
Yeah, I think that's... Oh, yeah, here's the doctored clip.
Of the millennials, dreamers, undocumented citizens, and I call them
Yeah.
Sorry, we're going to turn this down.
Yeah, there you go.
It actually looked good in the mixer, so it was probably good.
millennials, dreamers, undocumented citizens, and I call them citizens because they contribute to this country, are fearful of voting. So if I vote, will immigration know where I live? Will they come for my family and deport us?
Not true. And the reason is, first of all,
That's
when you vote,
the guy
you are a citizen.
Reporting off of the TV.
Yeah, so, yes. Yeah, Jace.
A mouth breather
yeah,
made
there's
this video.
He's probably gigantic. He probably weighs 400 pounds.
But that doesn't matter. So pardon the lack of quality on the video because the guy is recording it on a video camera at the TV.
Yeah, he's probably
yourself, and there is not a situation where the voting rolls somehow are transferred over and people start investigating, etc. The sanctity of the vote is strictly confidential.
Let it play.
I can't focus with that fucking breathing.
Stop them.
The president's even questioning whether the person who is an illegal is voting, outside of reminding people that if you're a citizen, you vote. But it's very clear that the question is being asked was about illegals voting and afraid that they might be reported to border security.
Now pause that. Now scroll down to the actual real video, and it won't have the mouth breathing.
Oh, thank God.
Yay.
Thanks, science, I mean.
All right. Many of the millennials, dreamers, undocumented citizens, and I call them citizens because they contribute to this country, are fearful of voting. So if I vote, will immigration know where I live? Will they come for my family and deport us?
Not true. And the reason is, first of all, when you vote, you are a citizen yourself, and there is not a situation where the voting rolls somehow are transferred over and people start investigating, etc. The sanctity of the vote is strictly confidential in terms.
Okay, so the question that she asked clumsily is, if I vote, will my information be transferred over to immigration? And so, like, if I'm here legally and I'm a citizen and I vote, will they come after my family? Will they check the status? Will they be able to find my family?
Because my dad's illegal or something.
Yeah. Yes. So he very clearly said, if I vote, I'm a citizen, and then he continued on. So he made it clear that he's talking about citizens voting, not non-citizens voting. So, like, and this again, it's really deceptive the way that Neil Cavuto chopped it up, even though you guys had to deal with the mouth breather.
Yeah.
But the point is that it's not true that that's what he said. But people, because of the way that it gets cut up and the way that it can be portrayed, because she asked the question clumsily, that's the reason why there's a story here at all. Now, if we go back to the original clip that we were talking about, we can catch what they're saying based off of the false story. Not this one.
Which one?
The one we were the main one. This one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this one. Press play.
I don't want to waste any more time, but anyway, I see where it came from, and it's Fox Business Network deceptively edited a clip of Barack Obama to argue that the president encouraged illegal immigrants to vote when, in fact, he had said nothing of the sort when you go back to the transcript. You, as you sit here today, think that millions of illegal people voted in this country. You believe that there was widespread voting abuse.
I think there was in some states.
In the millions of people.
California allows it.
They do not allow illegal. You mean voter fraud?
That picture is
California
awesome.
allows. I believe there is voter fraud in this country.
Flag burning. People should go to jail
Absolutely.
and lose their citizenship.
Community
service. And you know what?
Absolutely.
And it's the sad thing.
No, they shouldn't, but they should get a ticket for starting a fire out in public. In a
But you need a permit for it.
they need a permit for. Yeah, they should go get a permit. If they,
So, like, what he was
Based on their
saying,
religion.
what he was saying is true. Like, if you burn a flag somewhere where it's not allowed, in a circumstance not allowed, then yes, you should get ticketed for that because you're burning property, not because of the burning of the flag. Like,
Yeah.
flag burning is protected speech, as protected by the Constitution of the United States.
Sitting down during the national anthem is protected speech.
Yes.
Get in on that mic when you talk.
I am so sorry.
Hold it.
Yeah, hold it. Okay.
And then if you want, close those legs so they're not. You can just close those legs.
Oh, these legs. I thought it was like.
Close your legs, Dan.
God, Josh.
We mean the legs
Chase.
on the stand.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about that?
Oh, there's just so much wrong there.
But see, it just shows, especially the older generation, how they just watch the news and whatever is said on the news is completely true.
They can't lie on TV.
They don't lie on TV, and it drives me nuts. That's one reason why a lot of the younger voters were voting for Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders was speaking the truth, something the news doesn't do, and they were researching it.
Yeah.
And going online and looking, and a lot of younger people who were voting for Bernie Sanders they'd complain to me about the pundits and how they lie and how this news station lies about this, and that's the thing. The media puts money into these politicians. The people who own CNN and DirecTV and all that stuff, they were some of Hillary Clinton's biggest contributors to her campaign.
Yeah.
And so you don't think they're going to bend the truth a little bit in her favor?
Yeah,
But these older people don't know that because the news isn't talking about shit like that.
Just like they're ignoring the Dakota Access Pipeline. You know,
Definitely. Well, let's move forward.
Oh, and Trump's invested into that, by the way.
Yeah.
All right. So, Joe, you have the science story.
Oh,
and then
yay.
after that, you also have the HIV drug story, Joe. Cause
right after each other.
Yeah, because we already did the brain study, and I don't have a secular
okay.
story. Sorry, guys, I don't have a secular story this week.
Well, the science story today is coming from Science Alert, the 25th of November, 2016. But today is December 4th. All right. So, Brace yourself. The polar vortex is shifting. Climate change has hit the Arctic worse than... sorry, hold on. I got to take... I'm just taking that little...
nasty.
That
Joe had something in his mouth. He had to take it out.
That's pretty vague, Matt.
Yeah, don't be so vague. All right. So climate change has hit the Arctic worse than ever over the past few years, but that doesn't mean the northern hemisphere is going to be experiencing a mild winter this year. In fact, a new study shows that the polar vortex is shifting, and it's going to make winters on the east coast of the U.S. and parts of Europe even longer, with exceptionally cold temperatures expected during March. Okay, and then it kind of gets into why. The polar vortex is the lovely zone of cold air that swirls around the Arctic during winter. When parts of the vortex breaks apart and splinters off, it can cause unseasonable cold conditions in late winter and early spring in the northern hemisphere. This happened in early 2014. As you can see in the satellite image above, there's an image. Don't worry, I'll post this article on Facebook on our Evil Atheist page, so you can go on it and check out the image. And it caused an extreme weather event in the northern U.S. and Canada. But not many people realize there are actually two polar vortices? Yeah, whatever. The stratospheric polar vortex, which is about 19,000 meters, 65,000 feet above the surface of the Earth, and the tropospheric polar vortex, which is about 5,000 to 900, which is about 18,000 to 30,000 feet above the surface. Usually when the weather forecasters are talking about the polar vortex, they're referring to the tropospheric vortex, which is the one that rips apart and plunges cold air towards mid-latitude cities such as New York. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. That might sound like a good thing for warm weather lovers, but a weaker polar vortex means a vortex that's more likely to break apart. And if it breaks apart, it sends splinters to cities, and it brings a lot of cold air in and stuff. But it's a really cool article.
So what you're saying...
It's a sad article because of global warming, and it's causing this, but...
very informational.
But, well, yeah, it's information. I am always pleased when I get more information about certain things, especially science and stuff. So go in, check it out, read upon it. If you're wondering why this March, why it's next March, if you're wondering why it's so fucking cold, you'll know why.
Global warming can't be real. It's so cold.
Yeah, it's like the planet's cooling down.
It snowed yesterday.
Let's pour some more gasoline into the air.
Right,
Everybody gets a Hummer.
All right, so we're going to go to the next story. Where'd Josh go? Should we pause? Should we wait for him?
Fuck him.
All right, fine. He just got up and walked away. I guess he doesn't like my story.
He's just going to use the latrine, and he'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's right.
All right, so this is a cool story. This is also coming from Science Alert. It was published December 1st, 2016. All right. Okay, so last year, hedge fund manager Martin Shkreli made headlines for all the wrong reasons when he bought an anti-parasitic drug, Daraprim, and jacked up the prices overnight from $13 to $750 a tablet.
What a douche.
A douche, yeah. Biggest douche in the universe. To prove how much of a dick move that was, a group of high school students in Australia has now created 3.7 grams of Daraprim's active ingredient in their chemistry lab for just $20.
It was high school?
Yeah, high school students in Australia.
I thought it was college.
They're a little more advanced than we are here in the States.
I didn't take that into account.
See, so they made 3.7 grams for $20, an amount that would sell in the U.S. for between $35,000 and $110,000 at the current rate charged by Shkreli's company. So for the perspective, a tablet worth of the student's medicine costs just $2 to make. So the students made one tablet of this stuff for just $2, when that Shkreli guy is charging $750 a tablet.
Yeah.
So during pharmaceutical sales for the U.S., blah, blah, blah. Daraprim is on the World Health Organization list of essential medicines. It's an anti-parasitic medicine that's used to treat infections such as toxoplasmosis and malaria. Particularly, you guys know what I'm trying to say. In those low immunity, such as people with HIV, chemotherapy patients, and pregnant women, the Sydney Grammar School students have been trying to synthesize Daraprim's active ingredient as part of an after-school chemistry program ever since the price increase was announced in September last year. Working on a real-world problem definitely made us more enthusiastic, one of the students, 17-year-old Austin Zhang, told the Sydney Morning Herald. The background to this made it seem more important, added fellow student James Wood. The students were working with University of Sydney chemist Alice Williamson through an online research sharing platform called Open Source Malaria, which aims to use publicly available drugs and medical techniques to treat malaria. To make Daraprim's active ingredient, known as pyrimethamine, the boys started with 17 grams of 2.4 chlorophenyl acetonitril, blah blah blah, whatever
names,
big old chemical names, which can be bought online for about $36 for 100 grams. But they had to find a new way to manufacture the pyrimethamine from the raw ingredients, seeing as the patented method was too dangerous for their high school chem lab. We couldn't use the patent route as it involved dangerous reagents. So instead, they spent the past 12 months finding their own safer way to create the drug. Last week, they finally successfully synthesized 3.7 grams of it, and its purity was confirmed using a spectrograph by Williamson, and the team presented the results at the Royal Australian Chemical Institute. It's one of the most beautiful spectrographs I've ever seen, actually, Williamson told the Sydney Morning Herald. That's about $110,000 US dollars worth of the drug, and they made it for $20.
That's awesome.
Fuck that guy. It's a long article. There's more to it, but I'll also post that on the Evil Atheist Facebook page. So after you listen to the podcast, you can go on there and read the article yourself.
Those guys get brownie points.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, like this fucking jerk and the pharmaceutical. What bothers me the most is that he did this, and the government went, okay. You know what I mean? They don't fucking give a shit. Our government doesn't give a shit. I saw an article the other day that said 1 out of 4 Americans believes the government is the enemy of the people. You know what I mean? And it's true. When they allow this motherfucker, Shkreli or whatever, Shkreli, to raise the price of a helpful pill from $13 to $750 a pill, when these Australian students made it in their chem lab for about $2 a pill. It's a joke. That shit helps people. It shouldn't be profited from.
At least not to that extent.
Yeah, I mean, you make a profit. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You gotta make a living, not a thriving.
Exactly. I don't know, and it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. I honestly think our government is an enemy of the people if they allow shit like this. And that's one reason why I wanted Bernie Sanders to win. Mm-hmm. But of course, a lot of people just listen to the news and listen to whatever shit's being fed down their ears. And
look at that old guy. He'll never win.
Yeah, I don't know. It just drives me. I don't mean to go on a tangent, but I don't know. I'm blown away by it. I'm blown away. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Outrageous, some would say.
All right, so let's talk about the last thing.
Sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
Alrighty, so we have our guest here, Jace, and we wanted to talk about a couple things. First, we'll start with the easy questions about being an atheist at a young age.
All right. Well, most people or stories that I hear online on YouTube and articles and such are that they've been raised to be like a certain religion, whether that be it's mainly Christian here in the U.S., but that Jew, Muslim, whatever. That's not really the case with me. My parents did take me to church every now and then. They're not very heavy religious people. They're just like, God, pretty cool. So I've never really felt that pressure to be sort of like, you have to be this or we'll kick you out of our house, stuff like that. I do think that's really ridiculous, and how you could do that to your own child is just out of my mind. I don't know, but and something I do. You see, I wasn't a teen in your guys' day and age, so I wouldn't really know. Would you say that most like teenagers were religious at your guys' age, like when you were my age? I mean,
yeah, for me, yes. Like, I didn't really know any atheist. I had friends that weren't very religious, but I would say pretty much everybody, thought there's a God or something.
Yeah.
Most people.
And I had friends at your age who were definitely atheist and stuff, and they were, they would talk about their atheism, but they were scared to talk about their atheism at home.
Yeah, because then.
Yeah, because then there'd be punishment. There would be.
Yeah, so we all have slightly different backgrounds. Even you two, who were in the same household for most of your guys' lives, had slightly different backgrounds. I went to a high school in Utah, like a normal high school, and they'll explain what I mean by normal. It was one in South Jordan. It was just like a normal run-of-the-mill high school in Utah, where like I would say 85% of people there were Mormon. Mm-hmm. And then there were a few non-Mormons. I think I only knew of one person who identified as an atheist in high school, and I don't remember who that was, and I don't remember talking to him much or really at all about religion. I thought he was stupid for believing it, because I had a lot of the same stereotypes in my head about atheists, and that's the main one that I remember having, is that atheists believe that there is no God. It wasn't even
God
that.
Not real.
It was that they believed that God, but they denied God. Whatever,
and that's what I got a lot too. Like
just let him into your heart.
Yeah, just let him in. You're just denying God, and it's like no,
he's knocking on the door. He's just like, hey, let me in, yo.
Yeah, and I'd talk to my friends who were straight up atheists, and I think they had it confused too, and I had it confused, and because in high school I was like, I don't know if there's a God or not, but everything points to there not being a God, but I don't know. And that's basically an atheist, and they'd be like, oh, you're agnostic.
Yeah, and it's such a great disservice to atheists, because when people categorize atheists as agnostics, because agnosticism is like a place of indecisiveness or I don't know, but
agnosticism deals with knowledge.
Yeah. But there were a lot of people, and for a lot of my young adult life, I identified as an agnostic because I wouldn't take the stance that I believe, or that I know that there's no God, therefore I don't know what I believe. And that's bullshit. Like, I know what I believe. I know that I don't believe. I knew that I didn't know whether God existed. And when I don't know whether God exists or not, by default, I usually means that I don't believe that God exists. Yeah. It's like when you're a kid and you don't know if Santa Claus exists anymore, like you're starting to question that. Yeah. Because you don't know what you don't believe in Santa Claus.
And there's a lot of people I've met, and I've told them I'm atheist, and they're not sure what it means exactly. And I'll just ask them, do you actively believe in a God right now? Well, no, but I don't know, so they don't want to be called an atheist, and I'm like, you are an atheist.
That's what an atheist.
If you don't actively believe in a God right now, then you are an atheist. Even if you're like, I don't know.
You can call that like agnostic atheist, even.
That's which is what I am. I'm an agnostic atheist.
Yeah,
because I don't know.
Okay, so
all right. So what were you going to say about that, Jace?
Okay,
are there a lot more atheists that you know?
In my friend group, I wouldn't really say like the entire school, but in my primary like circle, I would say most of them are agnostic atheists, or just straight up like, I don't believe that. Which I think is really cool, because
that's awesome.
It's sort of changing faster and faster than ever with the internet, because like back when you guys were when you guys were teenagers, there was no like Wi-Fi widespread. Anyways, there was definitely like
Yeah, you had to
There
go
was-
over to a
there's-
friend's
there
house,
was no
wait until his
Wi-Fi.
dad wasn't on the phone, or mom or sister, and then you'd have to plug in, and then you'd get on like a message board, and all you'd do is talk
MSN.
shit.
Yeah.
This is so cool. We can talk so much shit, and so
We don't
like,
have to
Or
be
you
loud.
or you have to go to the library and
yeah, and stuff. And-
But you only wanted to look at porn. Like,
yeah,
that's-
yeah, exactly. I hear you
I
can look
can't
at
do that at
naked
the
chicks
library.
online. So it was a little different, but then it gradually started to change. So would you say that your group of friends, your primary group of friends, is it a large group?
No, it's less than 10 people. I would say that there's probably around 6.
Oh, okay.
Because there's we have one kid in our he's not really like in our group. He's just kind of there.
Group adjacent.
Yeah.
He's a Mormon, but we don't really mind because we can get along and stuff. And I think
Well, that's always
something
good.
that everybody should be able to do, whether you're the Christian, Muslim, atheist, Jew, whatever. Just don't let your differences sort of divide you that much. Have civil discussion. Don't be like generalizations or
Yeah,
those
Trav. No generalizations.
Does Trav listen to the podcast?
I don't know.
doubt he does.
I doubt he does. But if you do, Trav, fuck off.
But yeah, I don't know a lot of them that necessarily like to watch skeptical videos and stuff like that of like,
Well, I imagine a lot of them are still pretty young, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they don't really want to look right into it right away
got
because they have
more
time.
Teenager stuff. Wahoo! Let's go
Well,
parties.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. As soon as you or become decisive or make a decision, like then you have a label attached, and you don't want to have all the stigmas that are usually attached to that label.
Yeah, so you can do a little more research and stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, I was always pretty much atheist, but I never really considered myself an atheist, and I didn't want to have the label atheist.
See, and I always thought maybe there's something, but I didn't really care. But I didn't understand what the word atheist was, and I didn't really understand it all until 4 years ago. That's when I started calling myself an atheist, 4 years ago.
That's about the same time I did too.
Yeah.
So it's awesome to see Jace. Go back to what we were talking about earlier. Be intellectually honest, because we're not denying anything. We're just looking around in the world and not seeing any evidence, and then having an intellectually honest position based on not seeing that evidence.
But the Bible is evidence.
The Bible is the claim, not the evidence.
Look at this 700-page book. How could that not be true? It's got gold pages. Wow.
Gold trim.
The blank pages make good joints.
I know some people that would just be like, "Oh, how dare you!"
The Bible is the one true book.
You see-
Well, which version of the Bible? What do you mean? There's
There's only one true
5,000
one,
versions of the Bible.
Yeah,
no,
and-
there's not.
and there's-
not the King James version.
The
You
other-
mean the King James version? It's
Yeah.
not a version of the Bible? Oh. That's a real conversation I had with somebody at a parade.
Really?
So I was at some parade downtown, and there was a dude with a sign, "God hates fags." And I'm like, oh my God. So I grabbed my friend at the
Christians are
time, and
loving people.
and another dude, and I grab his hand. I'm like, let's go talk to these people. And so I'm like holding hands, skipping towards these people. And my friend's like, you could tell he didn't want to really go along with it, but he could tell it was going to be funny. So he was like, okay, and so I skip up, and and I start talking to him about it, and then he was like, I was like, there's thousands of different versions of the Bible, and he's like, no, there's not, and I'm like, yeah. And he's all, well, not the King James version. And I'm like, King James version?
Yeah, and something else.
And he was like blown away. His friend standing next to him was like, he turns to him and he goes, "He's right." And he looks back over at me, and you could tell he started contemplating things in his mind.
He, like, changed his life.
Yeah.
like a slow down, he's just like,
yeah. And
What
I was
have
like,
you
"There's
done?"
all the Bible's been rewritten and regurgitated and translated 150 million times." I'm like, "There's plenty of versions. The King James version, the ones you're reading, King James took it, dissected it, made it fit his personal view, and then had it reprinted." And the guy just stood there and was like, "Oh."
So you mean this isn't the true word of God?
Yeah, and something else that's worth noting is that separate religions in the world, there's like 2,000. In sects of Christianity, there's like 4,500. There's more sects of Christianity than there are individual religions.
Yeah.
Which is something a lot of people don't know. They're just like, morbid.
Yeah,
Catholic, and that's it. Like morbid Catholics and like Protestants, and
And then like I know I've seen like on some pages some like there's arguments like between the certain sects too.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah,
like,
that's
the
if you
Mormons are dead.
if you can get like multiple, and I've done this
It's so
on
funny because they believe like 95% of the same stuff, and then like there's just like one other thing, and they're
The
like,
sticky
"We
thing.
hate you,
Yeah.
we hate you."
Yeah, if you can get multiple people arguing against you online, and then you can start saying, well, Joe over here doesn't believe in this part of the Bible. What do you think about that? And then they'll start
You're a
arguing amongst.
dumbass.
They'll start arguing amongst each other, and it's just hilarious to like step back and be like, "Yeah."
it's like a perfect
You're
troll.
like,
I
I did that.
like trolling like South Park.
Yeah. Not that bad though.
I hate trolls.
But so let's continue on the conversation.
Yeah.
So, Jace, what else? So, this is something that me and Matt have talked about a number of times, and me and Matt don't agree on certain aspects of philosophy, and that's just fine. One of the things that I don't get that Matt is able to do, that I'm not able to do, is I have some level of existential angst, like when I think about things, and I think that it's normal as an atheist or as a non-believer, even as Christians, like to question like what is the point of life? Like even if you believe in God, like why did God create me? But when there's no God, then there's like no question of why God created me. But then you have to face like,
how am I here? What does it matter? Like what will happen like when I'm not here?
So I want to let
like that.
Matt kind of give his 2 cents on it, because and again, me and Matt don't really agree on how we tackle that question.
So, for me, the question of existence or the question of death, I find it extremely intriguing. Diane and I were up at 1 o'clock last night talking about it, and I find it just intriguing. But it's a good thing to me. I find it exciting, and I want to think about it. And you could almost say like I want to die so I can like see what I'm not going to kill myself. So
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see what happens, and I'm sure that nothing's going to happen. But and I know other people have fear or anxiety when they consider or just start contemplating those types of questions. And I don't know. I don't understand that the same way they can't understand how I'm just like, wee about it.
Yeah, and see, I think we're all in agreement as far as I understand that death is probably the end. Like there's no good reason to believe, no intellectually honest reason to believe that there's going to be any continuation of your mental faculties after you die, and there's no spirit, no nothing. Is that in agreement to everybody?
Well, you don't take your brain with you. Your brain doesn't go with you.
Well, but you're not going anywhere. There's no with you.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like your brain is non-functional,
Yes.
and so and that's what you are.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe there might be a vague consciousness that exists.
Yeah, I
Some,
think that's
you know what I mean,
mean,
on some higher
there's-
level,
there's
but
no really
but
way
I'm
to
not
know for
saying,
sure.
yeah, exactly. I'm not saying that there is, and I'm not saying. So don't get me wrong
With
here.
the concept of death, it's all just maybes. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
The one big most likely is that there's just non-existence. But
It's like,
there
yeah,
are-
do you
there
remember
are
before
certain
you were
memories.
born?
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
And that's-
well, then that's what's going to be like when you're dead.
And that's Josh's point. So, to be intellectually honest, are we all in agreement that there's
There is
probably no
mostly-
afterlife?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah, so I think that then comes the question. The question of nihilism is a pretty serious one in philosophy, and it's one that's contemplated by all existentialists, including the Christian ones, in philosophical history. And I come up with, like, I'm an objective nihilist, but I think that subjectively, and this is where me and Matt kind of like start bridging off. Subjectively, then there's some value there, but like I have a hard time saying that it really matters in the end. Like, and it's not that if it doesn't matter forever, then it doesn't matter at all. It's that, like, I don't know how to say, well, I'm going to die, everyone who I love is going to die, and all memory of everybody I love and myself, when after a certain amount of time, is going to cease existing, and I'm all right with that. Like, I can't get to the point where I'm all right with that, and Matt can. Like, Matt doesn't even worry about it.
A big thing, like, you see, there are, like, everything you know will fade away. That's a big thing to sort of come to terms with. But a thing that's sort of been helping me come to terms with that is that there's no way to avoid it. So you just gotta.
So you're accepting it by being a hostage.
You're just like,
that's just gonna happen.
Pull yourself up.
Enjoy it while you're here.
Yeah. So Matt, what came to mind when I was talking about, like, our difference?
Nothing really. I mean, what do you mean exactly?
Like, you're okay with it? Like, is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Like, it sucks, but maybe it's what Jace is saying. The reason I'm okay with it is because it's unavoidable. It's just that's a fact of life. The fact of life is that there's not gonna be you and your life anymore, and everything you love and your kids. Like, we are all gonna die, and that's just the way it is.
See,
so
yeah.
why
if
worry
there was
about
a way to avoid it, I think more people would probably be more. But it's just unavoidable. That's the thing.
See, and in my point of view, I'm pretty much okay with all of that. My main issue with death, though, is I don't want to die early.
Yeah.
I want to do things with my life.
Stop smoking.
I gotta stop smoking. Yes. And I don't want it to be painful.
Yeah.
And then I don't. If I do die early for some stupid reason, I don't want it. I don't want it to be in front of my kids or anything. You know what I mean? I don't want to leave my kids behind when I'm still able to give them knowledge and give them information
And
about
when they
life.
need you.
And when they need me. And that's my biggest fear. After that, whatever. I traveled the world. I do whatever the fuck I wanted to do, and I die. Then oh well. You know what? I'm a spark in the life of the universe. You know, and I only last for half a second. So that half a second came and gone, and now I'm gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't want it to be painful. That's one of my biggest fears. I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night going.
So you're not afraid of death. You're afraid of dying.
I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of dying.
Yeah. So, and my issue is more of an existential question or problem, not the dying part. But yeah, I mean, like, how I deal with it, I guess, in terms is I try and stay more in the moment, and I also try and focus on, like, there's all this awesome stuff that we have, right? And I think this is what Matt does naturally that I don't do, and that's like, he appreciates, like, the fact that he's alive. And
you gotta push yourself to appreciate, and that's
There's,
sort of a hard thing to
you know, Carl Sagan's Pale Blue Dot. Like, there's a lot of darkness in there, but there's a lot of love in there, and I think that's what it is. Try and focus on the little things in life, man. And like you said, live in the moment. And Sam Harris talks a lot about this, how people don't live in the moment. People always are looking to, oh, when I get this, or oh, when this happens, oh, when that happens. All you have is right now. That's all you have, and you have to be happy with it.
So cliche.
Live here, right now.
It's
do
just,
it.
It's just the truth.
Yeah, you can take charge of your life. You can do it.
That's right,
I
Jace.
believe in you.
Yeah.
So, are you feeling all right, Jace? Or
definitely. Actually, I'm feeling pretty comfy talking about it right now. But I had a thought that I was when Joe was talking. What was he saying? Oh yeah, I've sort of come to terms with the fact that you're gonna die, and that everybody's gonna die, and like after there's just non-existence, that there's just like nothing. What's been giving me more I wouldn't say more, but maybe like is creeping up more is like not necessarily the death, but like what does it feel like to be on your deathbed? Like what will you do, like fading away? That's really scary to me.
The dying part. That's what I'm
and, like in pain and just like the last thing you feel. If the last thing you feel is pain, that's pretty.
Well, that's I don't know if that's a founded like fear. I mean, you probably like as you die, you it seems likely given the science in the near death experience experiments where what they do is they take a centrifuge and spin you around and they found this out with astronauts, I believe, and they spin you around until like you pass out because you're experiencing like 10 Gs. Which is enough to force the blood from your brain. It doesn't kill you, but it causes you to have like out-of-body experiences, extreme feelings. Most of the time it's reported like you get this extreme wave of peace that comes over you, and you sometimes deal with hallucinations and stuff. And that's from like what is the drug that I'm not saying anybody in this room has done it, but people have done
DMT.
Yes.
Oh, I've done that.
Yeah.
Just like guilty.
But so I mean, we have DMT in our brains, and supposedly that's released if our body thinks that we're
you see,
dying.
like once the physical aspect of your but like once you feel your heart stop beating, I think I've done a little bit of reading about how this one young girl who I've been reading about how people that have actually died and then like came back, like they've been revived. There was this one girl in her house with her mom and I don't know who else, but CO2. It was a CO2 leakage, so she was dying and she died. But she said she sort of saw like the cosmos, and she's like just hallucinated a little bit, and then saw like her family, and then sort of like faded out, and then it was really peaceful. And another thing that also intrigues me is that people that have died and have been revived, they say that they're not afraid anymore because it's just like it's peaceful, and it's just like when you take a nap and then like your sense of time is just gone.
Yeah.
Like it feels like you just close your eyes and then you woke up.
Yeah.
It feels like that, but you don't wake up, and that's sort of scary for me too. Like not existing forever. That's just like that sort of gets me a bit like ooh.
Yeah. So the two things that I came across when I was younger that were just impossible for me to comprehend is not existing forever as well as existing forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, I can't tell which is scarier, not existing forever, or like because like when people say we'll go to heaven and it'll be great, we'll live there forever. It's like, what are you gonna do when you do everything? You're just gonna sit there and be like, you're just like screaming.
Yeah,
you're just
so
like,
bored. I've done it all.
It's like I've counted every atom on the earth.
Well,
I can't do this anymore.
And I've gotten in arguments with people who believe in hell and like.
You see, hell is like I bet that like you'll get used to it. Like the pain, you're just like this is.
Yeah, you're just like.
Well, after forever, it's like it's just normal.
But and that's the thing. Like when I get in arguments about people in hell, and I'm like, how can you believe in hell and a good, just God? Because first off, any crime you've committed, like
finite crime, infinite punishment.
Exactly. And then I break it down like this. So you spend 10 years in hell for your crime, and then you are punished for like as deep as you can, and you're just getting started. You spend 1,000 years and you're just getting started. You spend 1,000,000 years and you're just getting started. You spend 1,000,000 years and you're just getting started on an infinite number.
Yeah.
Like when you start playing with infinite sets, like numbers get weird and time gets weird and understanding time and that sort of thing gets really weird because like you're talking about 1 trillion billion years and you're just getting started.
Not even that. Yeah. That's just like
yeah. And so like. Time gets weird when you start or infinite sets get weird, and what's weird is you can make an infinite sets out of a single infinite set, which is also weird, right?
Yeah, and like you said, a just God and an infinite punishment
do not mix.
They clash.
Yeah,
that is. If I ever like talk to someone like in person, be like, how can you believe that? Like I doubt they've even thought of it. They're just like, hell, there, they don't know, they don't grasp infinity, forever, pain, whatever. It's like even Hitler, it could kill 6 million plus people. Not even he would be deserving of like infinite torture. You know, that's the thing.
But
'Cause
he'd
it's
get used to
just-
it.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't go insane because he wouldn't have experienced everything. He'd be like, "Oh, there's still stuff to experience. Maybe I'll
I
get there
can have
someday."
Yeah.
Whereas everybody in heaven is screaming at this point.
Yeah.
They get it.
He's like,
do you guys
I
wanna
don't
come
know
down
if
and
I
try
like
to-
those red demons.
It's like,
they're look at these demons over here. They're a little more white.
These
hey,
people.
is Satan paying you guys enough? Like,
I bet Satan and God are just like the thing. Like when you think about like, because he like, I've gotten into a couple online debates about like free will, and if the thing that created you, like 100%, not even just like I have a hunch, no, like 100% knows where you're going at all times, whatever you're doing. He has not necessarily a plan. He just knows. Then that just voids any concept of free will, because like it's like you can choose the guy you have in our house. It's like, yeah, but God already decided for me.
Yeah, he has a
knows
plan,
where I'm
right?
going.
He
He's like,
created the universe knowing everything that would happen.
You see, that
so
must
if
be
he
a
created
boring job.
if
Just
he
being
created
like-
the universe knowing everything that would happen, he chose for you to do the things you did in that reality,
What if-
in that
what
universe.
if God
because
is
he
like
created
the
it.
ultimate
Yeah.
nihilist. He's just like, I'm just going to do this for the hell of it.
Yeah,
just a mean
I've
kid
already
burning
done
ants.
everything. Yeah, exactly. It's just like sometimes I
Well,
think
no, but he's like, everything's pointless. I'm going to prove it to myself by making people.
it's like, I already know the outcome, but I'm going to do it anyways because hell yeah.
Please love me.
I need it. I need it. My nihilist wife left me 7 years ago.
All right, so when we should discuss some of this stuff, it's fun off air, but yeah, I think now's a good time as any to wrap it up.
Wrap it up. All right, so thanks for listening, guys. Like we said in the beginning, remember to go to YouTube, check out our other channels, and you can find this podcast on Spreaker and YouTube. Go to Facebook, join the Evil Atheist closed group.
Please do. We need more.
We need more
And if you listened to last week's episode, sorry about the
audio
that
problems.
was
Yeah, if you can go through and tell us what we talked about, like I'll send you a sticker or something. saying-
$7. $7. I'll give you $7.
I could probably listen to that entire podcast with that shitty audio better than with a smile on my face, more than I could listen to that motherfucker mouth breathing.
Oh, yeah. I was expecting you to say like Trump, religious thing.
It's like, oh my god, dude! You could tell he was like standing there filming down at the TV.
Yeah,
That's
look
why
at
the
this. Look at this.
heads
This will
were
get him.
bigger. And
Look
he's
at
just like,
Obama, the evil man.
All right.
Cut it out. Cut it out, please, please.
All right, so thanks for coming on the podcast, Jace, and
anytime.
we will see you guys next time.
Think